Laura, I have a question for you two today. Have either of you ever regretted going for a run?
No, I don't think I ever have. There's definitely been days I didn't want to go, but after I come back, I don't think I've ever regretted making the decision to go.
Yeah, same here. Not that I can remember.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like per Lauren's point, like there are times like in Seattle where it's dark, it's raining, I'm tired, and I'm just like, I don't want to run. But I know that if I go, I'll be like, I'm better off than when I didn't. I think there's just some magic to it, right? Some magic about feeling that effort and that work, and it's done at this rate sort of step by step, and all of a sudden it's like 1 mile ticks off, the next mile ticks off, and it is this truly incredible feeling. And, I even think about just when I first started running is like there was this moment growing up in Florida where I was like bored. I was like over video games. I just didn't know what to do with myself. And then we had a bike path and I just was like, I'm going to run. I mean, I must have been desperate to be like a teenager that had never run and like informally be like, oh, that'll sound like a good idea. But I did. And then it was like something I did, 6 days a week from then on out, and, ended up, really becoming a lifelong runner through the process. So I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why we use running as an analogy for so many things in our life, right? Because it's that ability to just take one more step and just take one more step. And like you said, soon the miles start ticking off and you're pretty you can be quickly amazed with how far you come. And, it's pretty cheesy, but I feel like there's a reason why running becomes that metaphor for so many different things that we want to accomplish in our lives.
Does it ever feel easy?
I'm working on pacing, so when I go slow, it's a little easier.
Some days. It's like, and I feel like it always feels hard, and then some days it just feels harder. Laura, will you tell us who we're going to talk to today?
Yeah, today we're talking to Arlene Gonzalez. She is a runner from San Diego who just started running one day, and her whole life has transformed to revolve around that. She's got this infectious energy that makes you want to do big things.
A few weeks ago, Laura and I visited Arlene in San Diego, and yeah, I can definitely agree that being around her really makes you excited to lace up your shoes and get out there and see what else you can do.
And we're also going to try something a little bit different today. You two had an idea for how we could tackle this project. Will you explain to everybody listening about what we're doing here?
Yeah, so Arlene is bilingual. She's from Mexico, and she lives in a community that really flows back and forth constantly between English and Spanish. And we felt like, would it be possible to do this story in both English and Spanish and get that opportunity to kind of represent that part of Arlene's community? And so that's exactly what we're going to do today. There's going to be 2 episodes in your feed today for this story, and one is going to be in English and the other will be in Spanish.
So today, we present Paso a Paso, step by step. If running can help make you happy, what else can it do? Could it help you find community or even help bridge a gap created by a wall?
I'm Fitzka Hall.
I'm Lauren Delane Miller.
I'm Laura Isaza. You're listening to The Dirtbag Diaries. Estás escuchando The Dirtbag Diaries.
We meet Arlene Gonzalez, the founder of the running group Latinas a Correr, in the parking lot of a San Diego shopping mall. She steps out of the car looking really cool, like way cooler than us.
She's rocking matching black shorts, a one-shoulder sports bra, and bubblegum blue running shoes with hot pink laces from her latest marathon in Tokyo.
My name is Arlene Gonzalez. I'm 46 years old, and I live in La Jolla, and I'm a mom of three amazing boys.
She hugs us hello, and her energy and enthusiasm are disarming. Like, we already know her. We've been emailing for weeks now, but we quickly realized that to really get to know Arlene and the community she's created, we'd have to meet her on her turf.
So we hop back into our cars and follow her north along a road winding through eucalyptus groves, and before we know it, we hit the coast. Surfers are hanging out on the beach, people are walking their dogs, families are playing in the sand with kids. It was busy.
So after about 15 minutes of lurking in this parking lot and waiting for a car to leave, we finally find a place to park.
We've come to Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve to join Latinas a Correr on our run. It's the perfect day. Sunny, warm, with a nice ocean breeze. The air is sticky and salty, and together our crew of 5 doesn't waste much time. We hit the trail and immediately start jogging up a big hill.
Ready? Let's go. It started all here. 11 years ago. This month, it's going to be 11 years. I was going through my separation, so I needed some, something that will clear my mind.
11 years ago, Arlene found herself going through a pretty hard time. She was getting a divorce, and her cousins came to visit from Guadalajara, Mexico, which is her hometown.
So the reason that I came was to take out my cousins for a hike. I needed them to do something different besides shopping. So they're like, oh, we don't want to go. Yeah, let's go. I think it was meant to be. I think time was perfect.
She decided to bring them to Torrey Pines, a nature reserve in northern San Diego with striking sand-colored hills that zigzag their way toward the ocean. A main path, with trails branching in all directions, leads to the top of the hill closest to the ocean. As Arlene and her cousins walked all the way up to the highest point on Torrey Pines, they saw runners coming up and down the hill. And as Arlene watched them, she thought, I want to feel like that.
And suddenly, an idea, one she'd really never even considered before, crossed her mind.
You know what? Let me try.
Arlene had actually avoided running for most of her life, but that day something was different.
I mean, I was wearing the wrong shoe, the wrong clothes.
But still, step by step, she was hooked.
I didn't know what a passion was until I started running.
And not long after that, she signed up for her first 5K.
Then she signed up for another 5K, and then a 10K, a 10-miler, and within 6 months of starting to run, she ran her first half marathon.
I never thought I was going to run at even 10 meters.
And now you've run how many marathons?
So I've done 58 halves. Yeah, I'm doing my 59. So by the end of the year, I've done 60 halves in 11 years. And I'm doing my 4th marathon.
And it all started here, at Torrey Pines.
A la derecha, to the right.
The trail we're running on leads away from the trees to a view of the open ocean that stretches as far as the eye can see.
It gives me a feeling of freedom. It gives me the feeling of happiness. I feel the presence of God, because when I see that amazing ocean, the amazing mountains, it's like, wow, this is surreal. I mean, if I have the opportunity of running around these areas, why not doing it? It just makes you feel alive.
Experiencing this joy, it felt like a radical act in the face of her separation.
So people were expecting of me of feeling sad, of feeling depressed, of like not doing anything, just stay home and cry that I was going through that situation. which I did. Of course, I felt sad, I felt depressed, I cry a lot. But running, it was like I was feeling down, but running was pushing me up. Your body creates endorphins, your body feels happier. So the more exercise, the more you run, the happier you feel.
This is a story about what happens when you let a sport change your life. About what happens when you find that magic of moving through the world in an entirely new way. I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling. It's like a spark. And when you find something that good, you don't want to keep it to yourself. For Arlene, that meant taking that inspiration and sharing it with her community. She started posting about her runs on Facebook, and soon other women in her community started getting curious.
Women were the one who were asking me like, oh, when are you going again for a run? I was like focusing on how me, Arlene, and women can find answers to what she's going to do in her life. So I needed to focus on me, which is I'm a woman. And I thought that just by focusing on women, I could help them going through different situations that they were going through at that time.
And she told me that while she could just get on the computer and find a training plan or info on what shoes to buy, she wanted to create something more personal. She wanted someone who could understand her experience as a Latina. And even though she didn't have someone to guide her in her earliest days of running, she realized that now she could be that person for other women. But when she started reaching out to women she knows, she found that they had a lot of doubts.
I think in the Latino community, women, we always find excuses to not to do things for your own. I mean, you always do everything for your husband, for your kids, for the family, but you forget about yourself. Like you don't live with a passion. And it worked out when I was like, not pushing them, but like, are you coming tomorrow? Are you coming this afternoon? Like I was calling them, like sending them a message, and they felt that, I think I inspired them, because I think that was the reason, because I will post like, okay, me having 3 kids, having a job, I mean, having things to do in my life as other women, I will find the time to do this. And I think by them seeing me as an inspiration, they will try it. And I think that's when it started to change everything, when they will see me doing things, and they'll be like, okay, if you can do it, I'll be able to do it.
While Latinas a Correr is such a big part of her life now, at the beginning it was really simple. It was just Arlene knocking on doors, making posts, helping women carve out space in their lives to come together and run. And for Arlene, more than forming a very large group, the important thing was to make sure women were getting focused attention to help them build consistency with running. So the group started out small and over time grew. Every run was a little different. Sometimes just a few runners would come, sometimes a few dozen.
Soon enough, she had a group of women that were consistently showing up from across San Diego and from Tijuana.
We look at the ocean, take it in, breathe deep, relax. I almost always run alone, so being here with Latinas a Correr, I can see why it's been so successful. Arlene's energy is contagious.
And then, of course, we snapped some pics for the gram. The Latinas a Correr Instagram is a collage of Arlene's past runs, some running invites, and highlights from her adventures all over the world. Many of the photos feature a confident Arlene in colorful shorts and a sports bra.
It feels like she's always been this confident. So we were surprised to hear that even just 3 or 4 years ago, Arlene's approach to her iconically on-point running fits was a little different.
I was like, I didn't want to show my skin because of, like, I'm not perfect, like, and I'm like, no, I'm going to hide it, right?
She was invited to run with a women's running group in October, which is Women's Month.
And we were told, okay, make sure you wear a sports bra. It was like maybe 30 of us, different body types. And then before we started running, we were told, okay, take off your shirt. You're just going to run with a sports bra. I'm like, no, no, I don't want to show. Like in the pictures, I was worried about what I was like going to show in my pictures at that time. I wanted to like show, like look perfect. It's not showing your extra skin or whatever. And then we all went for a run with just sports bra. And we just didn't care. We felt secure about our bodies. Since that moment, I started running with just sports bra. Even if I have extra weight or extra skin or whatever, I feel fine. I accept my body the way it is. And I want to show the women that it's okay. And the more you accept yourself, you're willing to conquer more.
Today, so much of Arlene's joy comes from sharing her love of running with her community. And that means her whole community.
The U.S. Mexico border is less than 20 miles away. And to Arlene, Tijuana feels like an extension of her city. She goes there almost every week to shop, to go to the doctor, to get tacos and visit friends.
In some ways, the border can just feel like an annoyance to Arlene. There's traffic and long lines. But in other ways, it's presented some unique challenges to creating and maintaining a community.
When we come back, we're going to Tijuana to visit the other half of Arlene's community.
And we'll make a few stops along the way.
Support for the Diaries comes from Kuat Racks. They've released the Ibex, an overlanding truck bed rack that handles substantial loads both on and off the grid, because we could all use some time off the grid, seriously. Constructed from lightweight yet durable aluminum, the black powder coat is made for all the nature you can throw at it. Available in different frame sizes to accommodate most truck models, the Ibex is engineered for adventure with versatile full and half-height configuration. It's an ecosystem of adventure possibilities. For more details, visit kuat.com. Kuat, because you will absolutely love this bed rack and go dope places. Do you have a resolution to adventure outdoors more this year? Make it happen with Sierra Club Outings. Leaders in conservation-focused, active outdoor adventures, Sierra Club Outings hosts over 250 small group trips every year where you can backpack, kayak, raft, volunteer, and more. These trips fill up fast, so reserve your spot at sierraclub.org/outings and use the code DIRTBAG to get $100 off. With Sierra Club Outings, it's more than just a trip. It's an adventure with a cause. We'll put a link in the show notes. Check out all the incredible trips they have and make that resolution happen.
Hey everyone, it is that time of year. We need your shorts, your stories, because you power this show. We hear from so many of you that one day you're going to submit your short and send it to us at the Diaries. Guess what? That moment, it could be right now. So make it a New Year's goal, or use it as an excuse to take a break from Uncle Joe at the holidays. You make this community, your voice is valued. You can find all the information you need at our website, dirtbagdiaries.com. Click on the Write Us tab, where you can find instructions and the submission form. Pay attention to it. It helps the cause. Trust me. Link is in the show notes, so take a moment, click on it, consider it, and then get to work. You've got until January 19th to send us your short. Once again, it's dirtbagdiaries.com/write us. Thanks.
So this is Roadrunner Sports.
On our second day visiting Arlene in San Diego, she took us to Roadrunner Sports.
11 years ago, I came here for the first time, not knowing what I was expecting, but I knew that I needed running shoes.
After her life-changing day at Torrey Pines, it was time to get some shoes. But she had no idea what she was looking for.
So I remember when I came for the first time, I felt like I was in Disneyland. It was like, as a runner, like, oh my God, like seeing all those shoes.
When Arlene first went into the store, she got a personalized fitting. It made her feel welcome. So she insisted that we should have that same experience.
Looking for running shoes, trail shoes, any
We each took turns getting our feet measured and scanned. We ran on the treadmill, and the sales associate helped us evaluate our gait.
We have a really cool process here called the fit zone. What that does is get you the perfect fit.
It was pretty fun. And we could see how welcoming it would be to new runners who might otherwise be stunned by a wall of colorful footwear options.
For Arlene, she appreciated the experience so much, she decided she wanted to work there.
Like now that I work here, I feel like we're like doctors, like running doctors. When people come, they feel my passion. And I tell them, I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to help you.
She wanted other runners to be comfortable and have the gear they needed. And she's learned a lot about shoes.
Green, which is stability, and blue, which is neutral.
And socks.
Cotton, it's like our enemy.
She's tried a lot of different shoes since that first day 11 years ago, but she always gravitates towards the ones with color.
This one? Well, I don't like dark shoes. I don't love those because I like bright colors. But that I discover with time. I discovered that I like colors, like bright colors, will help me mentally, like psychological, to run better. I don't know, the more colorful, the happier I felt.
After our visit to Roadrunner, the tour continued. Arlene wanted to show us one of her other favorite places in San Diego, Balboa Park.
I mean, it's beautiful here. That's where all the museums are. And when I started the meetups, I had two locations. I had one location at Mission Bay, which I always love to run by the water, and also Balboa Park.
When we think about outdoor access, Balboa Park is a pretty great example. It's flat with sprawling paved pathways. It's pretty easy to find, and it's beautiful. It was a perfect place to take new runners, and it had the added advantage of being centrally located.
It was, and it still is, one of my favorite locations for meetups. And why is that? Because we're like in the middle of the city. So if we have people from Tijuana or from Chula Vista or South San Diego, or even like North San Diego, it's like in the middle. So it's okay for everyone.
Arlene told us that in order to really understand her community, we had to see all of it, both north and south of the border. So after Balboa Park, we got ready to head to the final stop on our trip, Tijuana.
Driver's license. They will check if you have. See how they're like searching.
We thought we'd be going running when we got there, so we showed up wearing running clothes. But when we saw that Arlene was dressed up ready to go out, we realized she had a lot more in store for us. And she made us change.
We're in Mexico.
The drive over the border was surprisingly easy. We never even had to show our passports. Arlene explained to us that it's not going into Mexico that's the hard part. It's coming back. And for us, the crossing into Mexico took less than 20 minutes. So just like that, we were at El Tijuano, a taco shop owned by Mario, a fellow runner and friend of Arlene's.
Like I buy tortillas here to take to San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the flavor is different. Because they're like fresh from every day here. Yeah.
And I feel like you think it's about the meat, but like
No,
really it's
salsa
about
too.
Yeah.
To me, a good taco is about the salsa. Yeah.
Arlene had introduced us to the idea of a binational community, and we asked Mario to share his perspective. Mario told us that Tijuana depends on a binational dynamism. Lots of people live here, work there, live there, eat here. And he said it's really one big community. People come to Tijuana and get to know the beauty of the city. It's a food paradise, and it's not just for Latinos. It's a community for everyone to come and enjoy.
We ordered tacos, and then we were joined by Arlene's best friend, Salvador. Sal lives in Tijuana, and he started running with Arlene years ago. He is one of the handful of Latinos in Latinas a correr. He was going to be our Tijuana tour guide. Arlene told us to get the sirloin, which is what they're known for, and she was right.
The sirloin was phenomenal. We scarfed down our tacos, said goodbye to Mario, and set out to see TJ with Sal.
And the short drive from the border to here showed you that our traffic laws are very loose. Well, this is one of the oldest neighborhoods called La Libertad, because on the other side of where you guys came across is downtown, and then Sena Rio, so that's the very first part and then this neighborhood started.
From the taco shop, we drove all over TJ with Sal. North, south, east, west. It was dizzying. There was honking and giant traffic circles, beautiful statues, and lots of street vendors. As we drove through the city, we'd occasionally catch a glimpse of the border wall. It felt like an omnipresent object, this strange physical representation of the barriers dividing this binational community. Arlene and Sal have felt the sting of the border themselves. Even though Sal had gone to college and spent years working in the Bay Area, and once the pandemic hit, he couldn't cross anymore. And neither could Arlene. For 20 months, the border was closed to all non-essential travel. We drove up to Playas, where the sand meets the Pacific Ocean, and where Mexico meets the United States.
We turned west on Ensenada Road and drive parallel to the wall toward the ocean. On the U.S. side, there's a lot of open space before you get to the wall. But in Tijuana, the city runs right up against it. The contrast makes the wall feel even more abrupt. Beyond that wall lies roughly 100 feet of open space, and then another wall. In all our national conversations about the wall, I didn't realize that here there are actually two. To Arlene, it's not just the wall that's important, but the space in between.
Twice a year, this organization called Border Angels, they used to do this event here, like inside where the palm tree is, and they will choose 50 families who can reunite between the two walls twice a year. It's like very, sad and happy at the same time, because you'll see families like mothers here waiting for their turn to meet their son who they haven't seen for 30 years. Oh my God, and they can only see them for half an hour, and that's it.
In 2017, Arlene and Sal worked together to organize a race with Border Angels. The race let runners from the U.S. run into the space between the walls. And for some of them, it was really personal.
And I invited a friend who doesn't have, papers to live in the U.S. So he told his mom that we were coming.
Arlene brings her pinky up to a tiny gap in the wall to show us what it was like. Her friend, living on the American side, had been separated from his mom for 10 years. This race let him see her, to touch her finger through the wall.
I was crying all the time. Yeah. I was next to him, and the mom was crying, and he was and they were just like this, touching their pinkies.
At Playas, the wall is covered in art. We take some time to walk around, read the memorials and paintings. There's a section dedicated to soldiers who had fought in the U.S. military and were then deported. There are photos of families, painted hearts, and messages calling for a world without walls.
We walk over to a piece of concrete standing in the plaza. It's a piece of the Berlin Wall. We learned after we got home that it had just arrived there the day before our visit. It's a visiting exhibit, and after traveling all around the world since 1989, this section of the wall is making its final stop here, in Tijuana.
On it is a plaque. It says the exhibit is here to remind us that humanity transcends borders and nationalities. It strikes us that this is how Arlene lives. She comes down to TJ all the time. The way she describes it, like one big community, it feels even more strange to see the lights of San Diego with rows of metal in between.
We walk down to the beach where the wall stretches into the ocean. and we're mesmerized by the way that the waves break awkwardly against the wall. The metal posts disfigure the waves, but they can't stop them from coming. We look up and see a dozen seagulls perched on top of the wall. Another dozen fly above, crisscrossing the border in a way that feels like they're teasing us for their ability to go wherever they want.
As we stand on the beach, we see runners. They run down the beach towards us, and then when they get to the wall, they turn around and run back the other way. People are taking photos, reading the murals on the wall, as Border Patrol trucks sit idling on the other side.
While we're there, it starts to get dark. The lights on top of the border wall flicker on, and as we drive parallel to the wall, like we did on the way in, this time we can see the lights extend east, seemingly forever. The wall bobs up and down on the hills like a wave.
We stop for dinner, and then finally, much past our bedtimes, we get in the car to head back to San Diego.
We're driving toward the border, and before we know it, we're back in the U.S. And as we drive, Arlene's son calls her. And they chat for a few minutes, and then she tells him that she'll be home soon. It's cheesy, maybe, but I can't help but think of all the families separated that stand in pretty stark contrast to our ability to come and go so freely.
This is something that Arlene thinks about often. Living in a border city means being more aware of who gets to travel where and the privilege that freedom of movement allows.
I mean, I have people who follow me in Latinas a Correr who are always like, oh, what a beautiful place. I wish I could cross the border. I wish I can be there. And I know it's never going to be a possibility for them. Like, never. And that makes me sad.
For us, and for Arlene and many of the women in her group, it's pretty easy to cross. They have dual passports or tourist visas to let them enjoy San Diego and Tijuana as one big binational community. But not everyone has access to this, and for some people, the border marks the boundaries of their community.
As a runner, you don't see a border. There's no borders for us, even though there is physically. And I wish at some point, maybe, I don't know, I mean, I hope they will have a chance to come and experience that feeling of being just 10, 15 minutes away.
As for Latinas a Correr, the work continues. Arlene keeps holding meetups, guiding women as they prepare for races, and helping them feel at home in the running community.
My goal in life is to have my own nonprofit and to create more running programs, not just here in San Diego, but around the world. I feel proud, and that just by inspiring other women, that makes me happy, because by inspiring other women, it inspires me.
At the end of our time together, we asked Arlene the same question Fitz asked us. Does she ever regret going for a run?
Oh, no. No, never. No, I never regret it. I don't see a moment or a time or a day that I regret it. No, so no.
Thank you, Arlene, for sharing your story. Our stories come from friends of friends, and from you, our community. If you have a compelling idea for a guest or a story lead, please give us a shout and use the submission form on our website, dirtbagdiaries.com. Music today from The Brow, Alexan, Maya Shimmer, and Brendan O'Connell. The tracks are courtesy of the artists or Track Club. Jacob Bain and Nis Cotto composed our theme song. You can find the links to the artists on our website. This episode was written and produced by Lauren Delani Miller and Laura Isaza, with additional production help from Ashley Langholtz and Becca Cahal. It was mixed by Evan Phillips. Laura provided all translation and writing for the Spanish version of this episode. Make sure to check it out in the feed. Illustration by Walker Call. Becca Call is our executive producer. I'm Fitz Cahal, and you've been listening to the Dirtbag Diaries.